Welcome to Oxford News This Week. I'm Elgin Nichols.
And I'm Terry Stiles. What will taxpayers have to shell out to repair our local parks? And the Village of Oxford wants to sell another piece of property.
Stay tuned, learn more about these stories and others. The Oxford News begins right now. A $500 reward is being offered by Oxford Community Schools for any information leading to the arrest of vandals who destroyed over $10,000 worth of equipment at the Oxford High School football stadium press box. Severe damage was caused by to electronic audio, video, and surveillance equipment. There were shattered windows, punched holes in the walls, and graffiti sprayed with black paint. Although police have fingerprints and other leads, they are asking the public, if you have information, to please step forward by calling the local 911.
When Oxford voters go to the polls in November, they'll be asked to vote on a $2 million bond proposal to repair and improve 4 township parks. The proposal calls for a bond to be paid off in 10 years, and the bond dollars will go to repairs at Stony Lake, Seymour Lake, Powell Lake, and Oakwood Lake parks. If voters approve the bond, the estimated property tax levy will be 0.27 mils, which is equal to $1 for every $1,000 of your property value. If approved, the tax will start December 2016 and will provide a 10-year payoff.
Oxford Township will no longer mail tax receipts to property owners. Oh, you will continue to get your tax bills in the mail. However, in an attempt to cut operating costs at the township, you will no longer receive a separate tax receipt in the mail. Township Treasurer Joe Ferrari estimates a savings of between $10,000 and $15,000 will be realized due to the savings in postage, printing, and staff time. Property owners will be able to get a copy of their tax receipt on a free township website, email, or fax, or they can pick up a copy in person at the Dunlop Road, Oxford Township Hall.
Oxford Village voters will be asked permission to sell a 2-acre village parcel owned by the village since 2005. The property on Dayton Street is estimated to be worth over $17,000, which, according to the law, is the amount of the sale that must be voter approved. Council approved the sale with the exception of Council member Maureen Helmuth, who lives across the street from the property and feels it should be turned into another village park.
At a monthly meeting of the Oxford Township Planning Commission, amendments to the final site plan for Sand Hill Townhouse and Abbey Ridge Apartments south of Myers was delayed.
We stick our neck out when we put conditions on motions. It's not on us to fulfill those conditions. So when you ask us for leniency, I gotta ask why we didn't comply with the conditions. I mean,
you've had a year.
We look like the bad guys, but we don't control those conditions. We stuck our neck out, we asked for conditions to be met, they haven't been met. That's why the postponement. Now we're gonna give an amended final site plan at your request to have leniency, but yet you haven't fulfilled the first one. So who do we believe?
And then wants to do another one.
And then wants to do a lot split now. We don't have a bond out yet, we don't have an agreement yet, we don't have the conditions met in the first final site plan approval. Now you're asking for amended final site plan, and it kind of behooves me, because I'm the one that drives everybody to try to get things done and develop. And
Chuck DiMaggio with Burton Katzman representing the property owners BKG Oxford was informed by the board that several issues had not been addressed from previous requests, so the project could begin on schedule.
Can I ask, can I make a request that be considered as a second amendment and ask that you consider the first amendment tonight? The reason I ask is we are getting ready to break ground after a long period of delay on the 2nd of May. We're trying to get the building permit applications in. I understand we need to resolve these other site plan issues, but we're not going to really start putting the infrastructure into the ground until probably the middle of June. So that'll give me time to come back for a second amendment before that whole process starts. but I would like to get my building application in to get that review process started, because that's going to take probably 4 to 6 weeks before all that happens, so.
The Lone Ranger rides again at the Village Council meeting. Parade Chairman Rod Charles informed Council of a special fundraising event this year preceding the parade, which will include a visit from the President.
And one of the fun things I'll mention to people is on August 5th, Friday, preceding the parade, we've invited the President of the United States and Mrs. Lincoln to be in the parade and to be at a fundraiser dinner at Inwood Golf and Country Club. But I happen to know or familiar with a person and his wife who are considered some of the best Abraham Lincoln reenactors in the United States. He lives in Michigan, as a retired school teacher. They're going to be in the parade Saturday morning, and one thing I thought was kind of funny is they asked me to be toward the front of the parade, so make sure you're there on time, because they have a battle in Port Sanilac that afternoon.
Council President Sue Beausardet addressed concerns over difficulties which arose from the previous year's traffic flow.
One of the concerns that we had last year because of the traffic situation and stuff, I asked him about having the road commission getting us those big illuminated signs that we can put up north of First Street and at Drainer Road a week ahead of time, so from Saturday to Saturday, so that people are going to be aware that there's going to be detours on that day. And also on the map here, we had another lot of complaints about people being directed down, it would be west on Drainer, and they were trying to go north on Pontiac Street, and they were not allowed to do that because all of Pleasant Street and Pontiac Street was one way going south.
Sheriff's deputies were called to Great Clips about property damage to a car parked outside the business. The car owner reported that she was shocked to find that the rear window was smashed out with a 5-inch pipe lying on the driver's side seat. Officers canvassed the area, but no witnesses were found. A report was provided by police for insurance reasons.
Well, it doesn't pay to rehash anger over something that happened 15 years ago. This week, a Brooks Court woman was arrested after beating her husband, first with a plastic baseball bat and then a golf club after she broke the bat. Bleeding from his head, the victim explained to police his wife was mad over an affair he had about 10 years ago and that he did not want to press charges against her because he thought he deserved the punishment. The wife, however, was arrested for domestic violence.
Deputies were called to the Oxford High School by school security. Security reported that LSD was being sold to students on campus. Police were told also that the young man who sold the drugs to 3 Oxford students was on probation from another school. Officers were provided with a name list and addresses of all the kids involved, and the drug pusher left the building prior to the police arriving on the scene. Kids who purchase the LSD are scheduled for appropriate discipline and education. The drug pusher was eventually found by police, and he was made aware never, ever, ever again set foot on Oxford School District property. The investigation and possible charges are pending. Well,
I was hoping he was going to get more than just a bossy finger shaken at him, shook at him, flapped at him.
it's not done yet,
Gosh
so he
almighty,
may have some,
Well, he should.
Yeah, well,
Why
I think
would
so,
you?
too.
I just can't. Ugh. And I know parents are upset that there's drugs in the school. Blah 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 blah. There is. There always will be. You got to talk to your kids.
What is
Those
this just
three-
say no thing?
Just say no. That kind
yeah,
of
it should.
flew out the window. I'm telling you. But education starts at home.
Well, I have a little more on the
upswing?
upswing.
Another mess to talk about,
a
right?
little messy mess, and it's from Oakland County.
Yeah.
And they're saying, all you folks out there, they're feeding these geese. That's a no-no, because what's happening is these geese are looking
Yeah.
down and they're saying, hey, I remember this place because they fed me before.
Yeah, this is a good salad bar here.
Yeah, they'll just land,
Yeah.
by the hundreds.
Yeah, right. That becomes a problem. We have a friend who is in a wheelchair, and there's certain times of the year he can't even get to the baseball fields
Yep.
because that's really messy, and
Well,
even with
yeah.
gloves on, it's a mess to try
they-
to wheel your chair through that.
Well, they create all kinds of doo-doo.
Yeah, they
And of
sure
course, the
do.
doo-doo ends up into the lake,
Oh,
if it's
yeah,
near the lake.
right, right.
And it causes all kinds of vegetation to grow, which
Well,
is not a good
and
thing.
the
Nasty
E. coli.
E. coli also.
I remember them having to shut the little lake down on Gillespie a couple times because of the E. coli
Oh,
from
yeah.
the geese. So
Yeah.
no ducks. Don't feed the geese. Don't feed the ducks. Feed the fish so that you can fish. But other than
And actually,
that-
if you're taking a little Fido out for a walk, make sure you take that baggie with you, because
yeah,
again,
that
you E.
too.
coli,
Yeah.
end up in the lake. Somebody could step in that nasty old stuff, So this was kind of an
It's a good
interesting little
subject
tidbit
this
that we threw into this time. Huh?
I guess we don't have any more to say. That's it for Oxford News this week. If you want to learn more about these stories and others, go to your local store and pick up a copy of the Oxford Leader newspaper, or better yet, catch us right here at Charter Channel 191 and AT&T Channel 99.
And coming up next on OCTV, catch Oxford School News with John Ochins. Then Oxford Sports with Jamie Hughes. And don't miss Auto Talk and Science in the News with Dave Kenny.
I'm Terry Stiles, and this is Oxford News This Week, where we bring your news closer to home.
And I'm Elgin Nichols. Remember, always be kind to your friends and neighbors. Thanks for watching.
Welcome to Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication New Scientist. In our first story, ocean pollutants that may contaminate our food are able to tamper with the body's ability to cope with toxins. The finding makes it more urgent to know how the pollutants act, especially as they are often found in combination. Amril Hamdoun and Sasha Niklish at the University of California in San Diego and colleagues studied 37 organic pollutants and their effect on PGP, a cell membrane protein that recognizes harmful molecules and boots them out. In experiments on yeast cells expressing the mouse PGP protein, 16 of the pollutants stopped it from working. 10 of these chemicals have been found in humans, implying they are in our food chain. One of these is the pesticide DDT, which was banned by an international treaty in 2001. Others include chemicals used as industrial flame retardants. The team looked for those 10 chemicals in yellowfin tuna, which are among the most widely eaten fish in the world. 9 were found in tuna from the Gulf of Mexico, and sometimes at relatively high levels. PGP is incredibly important for eliminating a wide range of drugs and toxins, says Hamdoun. These widespread pollutants can inhibit this defense system. Newborn babies may be among the most vulnerable to the toxic chemicals, since organic pollutants reach high concentrations in breast milk, and infants have low levels of PGP in their cells. The pollutants usually appear as mixtures both in the environment and in our food, says Niklish. We don't know what effects the combined levels of these inhibitors will have on the body, particularly when taken together with other medications. There should be more testing on pollutants to determine their effects on the biological defenses against toxins, the researchers say. Good thing. And on the medical front, the emerging facts about Zika virus are painting an ever bleaker picture. We now know for sure that it can cause microcephaly in the developing fetus. Last week's report from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, or the CDC, and the New England Journal of Medicine confirmed strong suspicions that the virus was behind a rise in cases in South America of the condition, in which children are born with an abnormally small head and a malformed brain. But given our current understanding of Zika and the lack of a vaccine, we should start worrying about other harms too. Seemingly healthy children born to infected mothers could also harbor less obvious damage that will manifest itself in mental disorders as they grow older. Ominously, the CDC says, we conclude that a causal relationship exists between prenatal Zika infection and microcephaly and other serious brain anomalies, that is, including calcium buildups that damage the developing brain. Other infections that, like Zika, damage brain tissue prenatally have already been linked to future incidents of mental illness, including schizophrenia. In fact, Zika, which has spread from the tropics to the U.S. in the space of a few months, is just the latest neglected tropical disease with such consequences to disrespect Western borders. Others include Chagas disease, cysticercosis, toxocariasis, toxoplasmosis, and trichomoniasis. I waded through that one. Like other neglected tropical diseases, Zika will probably hit poor people hardest in areas where environmental neglect, shoddy housing, crowded conditions, and poverty conspire to create a perfect breeding ground for mosquitoes. These are called neglected diseases for a reason. Their treatment has long been under-resourced and little research has been done on Zika's long-term impact. Now Western nations, including the U.S. and their governments, are having to confront them. The suspicion that Zika's full toll may include a coming wave of mental ill health only adds to the impetus to act quickly. And under the sea, every scar tells a story. Whales often have crater-like wounds, but no one knew for sure what had been attacking them. Now, an analysis of more than 1,700 whale carcasses collected at Dongergat Whaling Station in South Africa in 1963 confirms that the bites come from the prime suspect, the cookie-cutter shark. Nicknamed the demon whale biters, these elusive sharks usually live in tropical waters. The half-meter-long sharks are thought to rise up from depths of 1,000 to 4,000 meters to take chunks out of whales. One sei whale, that is, carried 138 unhealed bites from the shark. The data included how fresh the wounds were and where whales were caught, so the team could discern seasonal trends in biting. We found that whales are bitten regularly during the southern hemisphere autumn, winter, and early spring, says co-author Theoni Fotopoulou of the Center for Statistics and Ecology at the University of Cape Town. This indicates that by mid-spring, the whales had migrated away from the shark-filled area. What's more, the relatively fresh few bites on maturing sperm whales suggest they spend less time at latitudes where the shark live than mature whales do. Smart whales. Well, that's it for this edition of Science in the News. I'm Dave Kenny. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back.
I'm John Ochins, and welcome to the Oxford Wildcat School Update. A lot of talk these days about the proposed state policy aimed at protecting gay and transgender students. The majority of it centers on the provision allowing transgender kids to use restrooms and locker rooms aligning with their gender identity. Oxford Superintendent Tim Throne stated in the Oxford Leader that he thinks this whole thing is an attempt by our state legislature to micromanage our schools. Obviously, there is some public disagreement to that. Throne says the school board will most likely discuss the issue if it is determined at state level that changes need to be made. He says further that Oxford will work to put policies and guidelines in place to ensure that all students are educated in a safe environment free from discrimination. 'Tis the season of competition for many of our high school groups. First, Oxford's HOSA Kids. That group is for the future medical professionals. They gathered with over 2,500 students from across Michigan at the State Leadership Conference in Traverse City. 5 of the top kids are from Oxford. Quinn Kimball and Zach Acton made up our Community Emergency Response Team, and they took second place. Here's Quinn.
Well, me and my partner made it to the national competition by coming in the top 3. So we get to go to Nashville, Tennessee to compete in the national competition.
I asked Quinn how it went.
Well, the way they have it set up for our category is they give us a list of objectives, but we don't know which ones are going to be tested. So it's more of like a surprise aspect.
Our other finalists include Madison McClear, Jennifer Brazington, and Cindy Hill in clinical nursing, Brooke Boger in veterinary science, and Jordan Singer in physical therapy. Team Torque 2137 was also on the move. They participated in the state robotics competition in Grand Rapids. Mike Stublinski gives us an update.
We ended up starting out at actually 74th place out of 102 teams. We had, problems with the robot that we've never seen before. After coming over all of those, we ended up making it to the finals and coming in second place.
It's on to St. Louis for Worlds at the end of April. Good luck, guys. We also have a group that participates in something called the Quiz Bowl. Carter Chapman is part of that team.
Quiz Bowl is a team trivia academic sport, you could say. We get asked questions of all types of things like geography, history, various science questions through chemistry and biology, math questions, current events, politics, sports, a little bit of everything.
Carter tells us more about the scope of this organization.
We compete, the team from Oxford competes in 2 different leagues. We compete primarily in the Flint Metro League, and we face schools from all over, like Linden and Flushing, Lapeer, Brandon. Those are some of the schools that we face. But Quiz Bowl is also a national thing. There is a national tournament, and there is teams all over the country.
We sent 7 kids to that state tournament at MSU. Unfortunately, they lost in tough matches with U of D Jesuit and Mount Pleasant. That was only the second time these kids participated. 12 of our leadership kids went to Traverse City for a gathering. Jennifer Brazington is part of that group and explains more.
There's a organization called MASC, MAHS, like Michigan Association of Student Councils, and we have a bunch of regional events that we go to, and then this weekend was the state conference where all schools in Michigan send people, and we meet with over 1,600 kids at the Grand Traverse Hotel in Traverse City, and it's 3 days. There's like a dance during it. We have award ceremonies and competitions. We go to small groups and we learn about what other schools do and bring it back here to Oxford, so we get like a wide range of new ideas and new things to do for next year.
Jennifer tells about one of their projects.
We did a binder full of stuff, and it's called the Award of Excellence, and it's almost a 250-page document about our class and what we do, and there's a rubric, and this year was the first year we actually submitted one, and we got 228 out of 235 possible points for it, which is completely amazing for the first year ever doing it, and we got a plaque for it, which will be hung up in our classroom. And that's just something that we take great pride in, especially because it is the first year we've done it, and the only thing we can do now is do better next year.
Oxford Middle School's Destination Imagination also attended their state finals at Central Michigan last weekend. They finished 8th in the state. Way to go. That's the Oxford School News for this week. This is Oxford Community Television, keeping it local.
Back with you on Oxford News this week. Yes, baseball, Oxford baseball to be exact. The Wildcats start conference play with a sweep of Stony Creek 2-0, running their conference record to now 3-0. The story of the day was the pitching by Jacob Watt. Watt threw complete game one-hit shutout. This is the third shutout in a row thrown by Oxford hurlers. The offense was led by Justin Allen, Braun Mayett, Garrett Tyrell. That sounds like a baseball team. Who all had singles. Mario Scribner, Devin Davenport, Gage Warzeka, who all had doubles. Anthony D'Alessandro and Gage Warzeka knocked in runs for the Cats. Congratulations to that opening of the season. I tell you, looking good for Oxford baseball. There's a little something in the tank Tuesday night on the Rochester High School as the Oxford Wildcats shook off a terrible first-half blister, the host of Falcons, in an 18-11 to give the winners their third win in the OAA. We're talking about lacrosse here. Oxford was down 9-7 at the half, but scored the first 8 goals for a distance from Rochester after the intermission. The Wildcat eruption started early in the second half and was bolstered by Spencer Petoskey's best game as a varsity starter, garnering 9 goals, 3 assists, setting the school record with 12 points in a single game. I tell you, they are on fire. Oxford 2 goals each. Robert Rodriguez had 2 and 3 assists. Chris DeRochers, while Gavin Fritz and Garrett Stuck and Louis Urban, Dryden Calcaterra added 1 goal apiece. The Oxford scored 11 goals in the second half, but it was a tight defense that helped them along the way as well. Dominic Regan only won 6 first-half face-offs, but picked up the pace and picked up 12 wins in the second half. The win leaves Oxford 3-4, with Avondale coming into town this week. We'll have the results on next week's broadcast. Good stuff in there for the lacrosse team. We're excited about that. Ladies soccer, Farmington scored their only goal early in the first half. Oxford had a multiple shots on goal, but Karina Parker and Jade Schramm the second half, but were unable to score. Oxford dropped that one to Farmington. They dropped it at the door. Again, a loss there for the ladies soccer. Caitlin Bean had 5 strikeouts. Chloe Allen went 2 for 5, 1 RBI. Logan Medell had 1 and 4 and 2 RBIs. Lauren Donaldson went 2 and 2 and 1 RBI. Mackenzie Miller went 1 for 4 and 2 RBIs. Caitlin Bean went 1 for 4. Anna Peruski went 2 and 3. Clarkston beat them, though, in the first part of that contest that got underway at 4 in the afternoon. A close score there. Clarkston 11, Oxford 8. We're talking ladies softball. Hannah Vachon had 3 strikeouts in the second game. Chloe Allen had 3 for 4. Logan Medell at 2 for 4 and 1 RBI. Lauren Donaldson went 1 and 3. Mackenzie Miller went 2 and 4. Caitlin Bean 2 and 4, 2 RBIs. Hannah Vachon went 1 and 3, 3 RBIs. Maddie Morris went, again, though, not enough to pick up the victory. They lost that one too. Ladies softball, rough week there. They lost at 8-6, 2-point there. Well, we kick off the season with a picture of perfect tennis weather. Yes, our own broadcaster. You hear him on there, and it's going to be on this weekend. Make sure to check it out. Ladies tennis out there on the courts. Our own Elgin Nichols calling that. We'll be welcome the Blackhawks. Oxford's freshman 1 singles Lauren Opalewski won her first match as a high schooler, and an impressive win against Katie Yeaker, 6-0. 6-0. They were excited for this. Oxford came out with a win on the courts. Oxford High School 6, Brandon 2. Once again, listen to that game this weekend. Our own Elgin Nichols calling the action. Keep up with the schedule, school sports, all right there at your fingertips. In fact, that's where we got the entire sports cast this week. Check it out, oxfordathletics.org, one word. Find out where your athlete's going to be. While you're on the web, I urge you to tune into our website or dial up our website or punch our website. I don't even know what you do. When you're on the computer, just go to our website, okay? OCCTV.org, hit the programs tab, YouTube, and you can watch any one of our programs on demand on your computer, iPad, phone, wherever you choose to watch it. We don't care. Just make sure you log into OCCTV.org. Catch you right there at your fingertips. Urge you to stay tuned. Great action of sports coming up on this weekend. We air our sports between 1 and 6 Saturday and Sundays. We urge you to stay tuned. Again, OCCTV.org. You can catch any one of the programs on your laptop or wherever you choose. That's it, sports. We're out of here. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Welcome to this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and these stories are taken from the publication Automotive News. In our first story, XIO Group, a London-based buyout firm with major ties to Chinese investors, is acquiring J.D. Power and Associates, a unit of McGraw-Hill Financial Incorporated, for $1.1 billion in cash. The deal is expected to close in the third quarter, pending regulatory approval, McGraw-Hill said in a statement on April 15th. XIO Group prevailed over the private equity firm Advent International Group in the auction for J.D. Power, which is best known for its car quality and reliability ratings, Reuters reported earlier, citing sources familiar with the matter. XIO Group has $5 billion under management and is based in Shanghai, Hong Kong, and London. The firm seeks to leverage its unique global access with an emphasis on Asia and China, according to its website. The deal for J.D. Power is the latest example of investors with Chinese ties going after an iconic American brand. Earlier this year, China's Dalian Wanda Group agreed to acquire Legendary Entertainment, a U.S. movie studio company behind the films such as Dark Knight and Jurassic World, for $3.5 billion. McGraw-Hill Financial hired Morgan Stanley last year to assist with the sale process for J.D. Power, which had an annual revenue of about $350 million. J.D. Dave Power and his wife Julie started the eponymous company in 1968 from their home in Calabasas, California, and later landed Toyota Motor Corporation as their first client. While J.D. Power's roots are in its car research, its annual customer satisfaction surveys measure a range of industries from credit cards to hotel loyalty programs and cable companies, and are often cited in advertisements and commercials. The company now employs 700 analysts, statisticians, consultants, and other experts in 12 offices globally. McGraw-Hill Financial, which now has a market capitalization of $25.5 billion, bought J.D. Power in 2005 for an undisclosed sum. And at Ford, the 2017 Ford GT will have a starting price in the mid-400,000s, plus destination and delivery charges. Ford Motor Company says it began taking applications April 13th for the first 300 to 500 cars. Ford said it would accept applications at FordGT.com through 11:59 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time on May 11th for 2 years' worth of production. The automaker said it expects demand to outstrip supply and would prioritize applicants based on a variety of factors, including loyal Ford customers and current Ford GT owners. The purchase process for the Ford GT is as unique as our all-new supercar, Henry Ford III, global marketing manager at Ford Performance, said in a statement. He says, we understand GT customers are strong ambassadors for Ford Motor Company, and we look forward to providing them a service as distinct as the car itself. Applicants must live in one of 19 countries, including the U.S., Canada, China, Saudi Arabia, and most of Western Europe. Ford is not charging a deposit to submit an application. According to a lengthy list of terms and conditions, applicants will be approved to buy the GT by a panel of Ford executives and other representatives designated by the company around July. The application requests information about the applicant's interest in Ford vehicles, collecting cars, and motorsports, among other questions, and Ford said applicants may be interviewed further. Applicants are invited to submit videos that demonstrate why the applicant would be a desirable GT owner and will not be required to, but may, in Ford's discretion, be requested to participate in publicity or promotional activities. Ford is creating a GT concierge service to help approved applicants buy the car through the dealership of their choice. According to FordGT.com, production is limited to 250 cars annually, with at least 150 made available to public applicants in each of the first 2 model years. And on the recall front, General Motors said April 15th it's recalling just over 1 million newer pickup trucks for a seatbelt flaw. The largest U.S. automaker said the recall of the 2014 to 2015 Silverado and GMC Sierra 1500 pickups is not linked to any crashes or injuries. GM said the cost of the large recall is not expected to be significant and is covered within normal and customary warranty reserves. GM said the recall, prompted by warranty data, showed that the flexible steel cable that connects the seatbelt to the vehicle can separate over time as a result of the driver repeatedly bending the cable when entering the seat. Dealers will enlarge the side shield opening, install a bracket on the tensioner, and, if necessary, replace the tensioner assembly. Well, that's all for this edition of Auto Talk. I'm Dave Kenny, and as always, may the wind be at your back as you cruise down life's highways. Stay tuned to Oxford Community Television, and we'll be right back after this.